Hey everyone, this is Todd again, and today's video is going to be on Motion Symphony, the plugin for Unreal. If you're familiar with Motion Symphony, you're probably familiar with uh, motion matching and that phenomenal technology that's been around for a while. Um, I think it was 2015 or 2016 that Ubisoft did the GDC talks, and I think the first game that was released for that was by Ubisoft as well for Honor. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't, in order to see kind of this technology, this motion matching technology used in a game, in a shipped game. So. But you can see it in tons of things now with Electronic Arts using it in all of their sports games and stuff like that. They're definitely this tech is definitely kind of a game changer in the industry at least. But when you first put it in, at least when you first put it in here, Motion Symphony, you can get some weirdness. And I wanted to show you kind of just some settings that can make your life a lot better and get things looking a little bit better right from the get-go if you implement them that way. So you'll see that my character is pretty unresponsive. That's kind of what I was showcasing here. It's got this weird popping happening between poses as the character is kind of jumping from pose to pose that it's found. And if you look at the controller there, you can see that it's not that responsive. Like I've already stopped moving down, and yet the character keeps moving down and then gets stuck in a pose. And so let's do this. Let's go ahead and swap that out. I'll show you these changes here. So if I just come into my animation blueprint, I'm going to first of all add in the inertialization node. That's what we're blending with. That makes the most sense anyways. I'm going to then swap out to my updated motion data file, and let me just show you what it looks like now. So, let me hold on one sec. Let me show you the controller. There you go. And so you can see that it's significantly better in terms of responsiveness, and you no longer have that popping glitchiness with the character. That's what the inertialization node does for you. But it's just a great way to quickly get to something that's much more usable. Now there's tons of, if you're shipping, then you would definitely want to come in here and update things and make things a little bit better. But this isn't the kind of idle we want. We don't want the character kind of sliding forward. There's definitely issues. But if you look at this from a anim graph standpoint, this animation blueprint, I mean, it is so basic. There's hardly anything going on here. And so to get all of that motion with essentially just this is absolutely fantastic. And that's one of the reasons why motion matching is such a great technology. So let me go through and talk about what you can do to make yours look a little bit better out the gate. So when you first start out, you're going to add in all your animations, right? But the defaults are going to be just like this. You're not going to have mirroring enabled. Your loops aren't going to be enabled. Cost multiplier is going to be set to 1.0 by default. Tags aren't going to be in here. This is all the default. Now I go into my updated file, and if I look at my updated file here, you'll see that my mirroring is checked for different animations. I have animations that have tags in here that do not use tag. So any of these areas where you see the do not use, you'll see it up here as well. Won't be searchable by the algorithm. So it will not look at that data at all. That helps, if you have a run loop here, my cost multiplier is at a 0.8, just means that I want to favor this animation a little bit more, because the higher the cost, the less likely that that animation or that pose or motion is going to be chosen. So a lower cost multiplier will come up with a lower number, so which is what you want if you want that one to be favored. Enabling mirroring gives you greater coverage. Obviously, loop it if it is a loop, and that way you can see the trajectory prior to the actual start of the animation. So those are some things that'll be helpful, as well as the pose interval up here, I've got it 0.05. But also, I want to show you the config files. So if you look at the config file, this config file up at the top, by default, it's going to be 0.05, or excuse me, 0.5 is going to be the quality versus responsiveness ratio. And every single one of the weightings that are down here are going to be at 1.0. Now, this setup isn't what you get when you just, right click and create your config file. But if you've looked at the developer for Motion Symphony that wrote the plugin, has done some videos, and in those videos he's actually presented this as kind of a good starting point. And so if you come in here and add in the input array as he has it here, by default things are going to start off at like a 1.0 weighting. Let me show you the final results, or the final one that I showed you, and that is a default quality versus responsiveness ratio at 0.6. And I honestly haven't found any usable results lower than 0.5 or above 0.75. So your mileage may vary. It may be because of the animation sets that I'm working with, but that's what I've found is useful. Obviously, your style of game and the style of animation is going to be indicative of what you would want to choose here. But then down here for your input trajectory weighting, so the past trajectory multiplier is at 0.9. That's the least weighted thing of anything in the list at 0.9. The highest weighted thing is the default weight for the trajectory input, which kind of makes sense, right? And then direction weighting is at 5, and so are the right and left foot. Their location is weighted at 5. So you have 3 things weighted at 5. The overall trajectory is weighted at 20. Below 5, the next most important thing is this body's momentum, 2D. That is at a 4.0. And then right below that is the bone location of the spine, the top of the spine. So that's at 3. Everything else is weighted at 1. So really you don't have to worry about any of those. Just leave them at 1 if you want. All the others that I mentioned are the ones that you would want to update if you want to see the character in here moving around as you did. And so that's it. You just have your the character running around like this. I'm using the keyboard as input now, but you can kind of listen and hear the type of responsiveness that we're getting. So I hope that was helpful. I think it's just nice to be able to have that kind of a starting point, at least, to when you come in and start playing around with your motion matching. Anyhow, we'll talk to you next time.